So let's say our interest is our business. We should evaluate what could go wrong. And something that could happen to any business is you could get sued. So we should realize that this is a threat and we should preempt it. So we should figure out how we can prevent this from happening. And how we can prevent ourselves from getting sued is to hire a lawyer ahead of time. And then we can speak with that lawyer and we can figure out some general laws around our business and figure out what the major pitfalls are for businesses like ours getting sued. And by preempting this threat ahead of time, we can prevent it from happening. All right, so checks, captures, and threats are three things that good chess players evaluate on every move. That's the order we prioritize in, and it's also the same order we can use to evaluate life. So let's get started. First, what is a check? In chess, a check is when your king is under attack. And you have to react right away to get your king out of check and into safety. Otherwise, if you can't, we call it checkmate and the game is immediately over. So that's why check is our top priority, because checks are a potential game-ending action. And now, if we're in check, how do we get out of it? So there's three ways we can get out of check. The first way is by eliminating the threat. So let's say my opponent has a knight that's directly attacking my king. All I have to do is just capture that knight. And by capturing that knight and getting it off the board, I'm no longer in check because there's no longer anything attacking me. The second way is just by moving your king. So let's say my opponent has a rook that's directly across from my king and it's putting me in check. All I have to do is just take my king and move it one square to the side. Now I'm no longer in that line of fire, meaning I'm no longer in check. And the third way is by blocking. So again, take that same rook example. There's a rook directly across from me, putting me in check. This time, instead of moving my king to the side, I can just take another one of my pieces, put this piece in between my king and the rook, and now I'm no longer in check. This piece is serving as a blocker for me. So the three ways to get out of check are 1, eliminate the threat, 2, move your king, and 3, block. Now, in real life, you're the king. In real life, getting checkmated, i.e. getting killed, means the game is immediately over. So this means that checks are immediate threats to your life. So if you're in check, alarm bells should be ringing. This is code red. Nothing else matters. So in chess terms, it doesn't matter if your queen is under attack or you can't set up that tactic you were planning. Because even if you lose your queen and even if you lose your position, you're still in the game. You can still recover. But if you lose your king and get checkmated, then the game is immediately over. There's no coming back from that. Similarly, in life, getting out of check is your top priority. So now, what is a check in real life? So in real life, a check is going to be an immediate threat. This is like having cancer or being in a very dangerous area or environment. And if you're in check, you have to react right away to get yourself out of check and into safety. And so again, how do we get out of check? Well, we said earlier, the first way is by eliminating the threat. So if we have cancer, we go for surgery. If we have a life-threatening infection, we get medication. These are two ways of getting ourselves out of check by eliminating the threat. The second way is by moving your king. So let's say we're in that very dangerous part of the city and it's not safe to go outside because people are getting robbed. So we don't just hope the situation gets better and we don't just hope it's never our turn. Instead, we can move to a better part of the city or we can move to a better part of the neighborhood. And by taking our king and moving it out of that line of fire, we're no longer in check. And the third way we said is by blocking. So let's say we can't move and we're still in that dangerous part of the city. This time, what we can do is block. So in real life, blocking is having good friends around you or having a dog, or if you have the money, hiring security. It's putting some sort of a buffer in between yourself and the danger. Now, blocking should be a last resort because if you think about it, we haven't really gotten rid of the threat. We didn't eliminate it and we didn't move our king. We didn't move ourselves out of that location. So the threat is still there, which means we have to constantly stay alert and keep our eye on the situation, even if we're blocking it. So now, if we've evaluated the board and we're not in check, then we can move down our priority list from checks to captures. A capture is when one of your pieces are under attack. So your pieces will be your rooks, your knights, your bishops, your queens. And losing a piece won't end the game the same way losing your king will, but it will weaken you. And every piece you lose will lower your chances of winning the game. So now, how do you avoid capture? We avoid capture the same way, by eliminating the threat, by moving our piece, or by blocking. So now, what are your pieces in real life? Your pieces are your interests, which means that captures are immediate threats to your interests. And this is very case specific on what your interests are. So it can be your business or your money or your academics or your social life. So captures aren't life threatening the same way that checks are. So you're not at risk of dying if your business goes bankrupt or if you drop out of school. But captures are still important because losing your pieces, i.e. losing your interests, will dramatically lower your chances of winning the game. So one of our pieces is about to be captured. How can we avoid this? Well, the first way is by eliminating the threat. So let's say our interest, our piece in this case is going to be our business. And there's another rival business that's taking all of our customers. In this case, eliminating the threat will be by outperforming them or by just buying them out. And the second way is by moving your piece. So let's say in this case, your piece, i.e. your interest, is your social life. And the social circle you're in right now is dragging you down. Well, then what you can do is you can take your piece and move it out of the way. And you can move to a better friend group that pushes you forward. And the third way is by blocking. So let's say in this case, your interest is your academics and your grades are dropping. Well, one way you can block is by bringing in a tutor. And that tutor is basically serving as a buffer between you and lower grades. So now, after evaluating for checks and captures, the next thing we look for are threats. Threats aren't dangerous yet, but if we ignore them, they could become checks or captures. So what is a threat? Threats are when your king or one of your pieces could be under attack. There's no danger yet, but it's something that could happen. So now, how do we avoid threats? We avoid threats by preempting them. So we should evaluate what our opponents could do or what could go wrong. And then we should take steps to make sure that doesn't happen. So in real life, threats will be potential attacks on our life or interests. So let's say our interest is our business. We should evaluate what could go wrong. And something that could happen to any business is you could get sued. So we should realize that this is a threat and we should preempt it. So we should figure out how we can prevent this from happening. And how we can prevent ourselves from getting sued is to hire a lawyer ahead of time. And then we can speak with that lawyer and we can figure out some general laws around our business and figure out what the major pitfalls are for businesses like ours getting sued. And by preempting this threat ahead of time, we can prevent it from happening. So checks, captures, and threats are three things that good chess players evaluate on every move. And we can take this same framework and apply it to our own lives. And by doing this, we can strategically organize our lives and maximize our chances of winning.